Good morning, everybody. I figured I'd put my first YouTube video together today, or at least make an attempt to. So this is my first one, recording this little set first for you guys with the Ork Kommandos. I figured I'd let you guys see how I put this one squad, or actually two squads. I'm going to run two 5-man units. I put some ghillie suits on them, put some NVGs on them, some night vision glasses or goggles, put some silencers on their pistols, little suppressors. So I have some in various stages here. Got some on bases, some crawling around on their bellies, as you can see. Got 3 on their bellies, 1 in a ghillie suit. Just pop him off the chopstick here that I use to paint or prime, so my hands don't get all nasty when priming. Same thing with this boy. He's popping up, standing up after exposing himself out of his ghillie suit, so we'll pop him off. Got the hot glue gun going here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put together a 5-boy unit in ghillie suits, and then 5-boy unit non-ghillie suit or non-camoed up, and that way just on the table you can kind of tell what unit is what, you know, so you don't get them confused. So as I stated earlier, I got one boy crawling around on his belly, ghillie suited up. Got another one just exposing his position, standing up. This boy here was actually my case study. What I do is I try to do case studies as I'm working through conversions, or I don't know what you would call this. This is not a conversion, but this is just modifying, I guess, a boy. So I do case studies, get them all set up first, put some paint on them, kind of tell what they're going to look like as I'm going through building them. Excuse me. So today, what we're going to do is we're actually going to put a couple boys on their bases. These 2 boys I've identified here are going to be standing up on their bases, and they're going to get ghillie suits. So another reason why I'm making this video, I call myself, or the channel, it's going to be called Every Man's 40K. I figured, right, I'm nobody special. I just like playing 40K, enjoy the hobby. So I wanted to share my knowledge and my experience of painting, converting, whatever, you know, the hobby entails. I enjoy the painting and converting part of Warhammer 40K just as much as I do putting the miniatures on the table and rolling dice. I figured a couple folks, there are some folks out there the same as me, that behind the scenes, you know, the hobby aspect of what we do is just as important as the actual rolling dice aspect. So I just wanted to show you how to do this cheaply, I guess. Nothing special. I didn't go out and buy anything special. I just regular boys. I took some plastic tube, drilled out the little section where I figured their eyes would be, starting with a small drill bit, kind of a pin drill bit they're called, or jeweler's bit. And then since I know the OD, the outside diameter of these, this plastic tube was 1/16 of an inch, what I did is I chased that smaller drill bit with the larger drill bit, 1/16 of an inch, and just cleared out that little section of their helmet. Right, just enough so that you would get these glued in and in position. Pretty much every boy was done the same that way. Right, just enough so that they would fit. Right, here's another one. Just enough. So again, as I said, this is going to be Every Man's 40K channel. So again, I'm going to show people how to do this stuff cheaply, how to use stuff just around the house to get done what you need to get done. So to start off, what I'm going to show you here is the ghillie suits are made in two parts pretty much. There's an inner part that you probably can't see, right, because he's primed. And then there's an outer part. The inner part is actually made by just something that my daughter brought home. She went out shopping, grabbed some tomatoes. So this is some netting that came with the tomatoes, right, as you can tell, no joke. And then this here is the outer part, right? So this is the outer netting, or the actual ghillie suit that you can kind of see after primed, right? And you'd never know it. But this came off of some stuff, or a package my wife brought home. This had those small little watermelons from Costco in it. And so she brought this home, and I seen this stuff and I was like, man, this stuff is pretty cool. I got to be able to use this for something. So stuck this in one of my little hobby drawers for future use. Somebody convinced me that Kommandos are awesome on the table. You know, pretty much 10 free victory points for deploy scramblers. When using the Kommandos, you just walk them on the table, you know, declare deploy scramblers, 10 points, right? And they only cost 45 points a piece, or 45 points a unit, so it's cheap. 90 points for two boys to be able to walk on the table separate turns and score yourself 10 victory points for 90 points. You know, can't beat that. So anyway, here we go. So I'm going to go ahead and start. I'm going to glue these couple boys here onto their bases, and then like I said, I've identified these two boys here. They're going to be the next ones. These two boys, just to let you know, I'm not going to cover them up so much. I want more of the boy exposed. So these ghillie suits are going to actually look like more like capes, and they're just going to be flowing kind of back, because they're going to be even more exposed and actually kind of moving forward. You get some motion out of that ghillie suit, so it kind of looks like the boys are charging in or moving closer. So let's go ahead, glue these boys up, get these guys on the base. Okay, so we got these boys all glued up on their bases. So now to prep the ghillie suit. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to come in here. We're going to take some of this material from the tomatoes. We're going to determine how much we need. Go a little over. Just take a pair of scissors. We're going to hack some of this off. Right, go straight across or whatever, just enough. Then we're going to take and we're going to, like I said, we want a cape. So this one we don't want so much, because I use quite a bit on these guys as the undercoat or the base. And what I mean by undercoat, not like painting, but underneath the layer as a base, so that this more loose material, when we start gluing, actually has something to bind to, as well as helps protect the boy once you get everything on. And this type of material is end up putting on the outside, you can't see through anywhere. So this kind of has a dual purpose. One, it protects you know, the artwork or the work from being able just to see through this stuff and having light coming through, as well as giving this material here, the secondary material, something to bind to. So we're going to stick this to the boy first. Now, could you just go straight onto the boy with this material, the green one? Yeah, 100%, you could. I just chose to do it this way. So since this is going to be a cape, we don't actually, like I said, we don't actually need as much as before. So we're going to trim this up even further. And you always want extra, because you're going to trim this later. So what we're going to do is, and the reason we use hot glue is because hot glue sticks and it sets up quick. super glue would run, right? Super glue basically, you try to super glue this on, tack it on with super glue. You could probably use stick and get away with it, but you wouldn't be able to use your thumb or anything else to help stick the material to the buoy, because obviously the super glue is going to set up super quick, and your fingers are going to stick, and you're going to make a mess. So basically we're going to find the center, right above his head, because when I bend this over, I want this kind of riding on the back of his neck or the back of his head. We're going to take some of this glue, get some of this glue to stick out here. We're going to take this X-Acto and we're going to take a little bit of that glue and we're going to stick it right on the buoy. And then boom, we're going to stick that right there. Right, so that way it doesn't stick to your finger. You can get it down into the buoy's neck area. You get a good bind, because obviously you guys know this hot glue stuff, I mean, once it sticks and cools off, it's pretty good, man. It's stuck. Now since we're going to do a cape, right, what we're going to do is we're going to make a shape of a cape. So I'm going to bend this back a little bit, right, because later, right, and all I'm trying to do right now is I'm just trying to find the shape. This is going to be the basis for the green material, so I'm shaping the miniature using this red stuff, right? That's what we're doing. So we're going to take some more of this hot glue here, right, and we're going to stick it right on the back. Fold this over like we want, pull that out and let it stick. Right, then we're going to come over here. So now I'm going to stick it to that leg, right, because we don't want this all floppy, right, so obviously, so we got to stick it to that leg. Come in, grab a bit of this hot glue again. Right, and we're going to stick it right behind that leg, right there, and we're going to pin that down. Right, same thing, take a little bit more of that glue, we're going to pin that down. Right there, slide that out. That's why I'm doing that, because once that hot glue gets in there and it gets in that mesh, right, you got to, if you let it dry on the mesh and the knife or X-Acto blade and you try to pull it out, it starts, yeah, it makes a mess, starts tearing things and not good. Okay, so almost there. I mean, we're almost, right, so we're going to have this coming off his arm as a cape, so we're going to fold that corner in just a little bit up to the neck area, right, because we want, again, like a cape, so we want all the connection to kind of ride up to the neck. So we're going to get a little bit more of this hot glue, not too much, right, you don't want to glob it on, but we're going to come right in here. There, much better. Right, clean up your buoy as you go. Obviously, you get these little stringers from that hot glue off. So there, pretty much, you can see how it's going. So you can see how I got a kind of an area, a secondary area where the green stuff is going to get glued to. Alright, so now on this buoy we're going to start the green stuff. Alright, so we're going to come in here, same thing. We're going to cut off a little chunk. And then in order to get this to actually look like a ghillie suit, you have to kind of bunch it up, right? Because you just can't put it on like a net, like a camo net. You know, just boom, there he goes, and you know, obviously this is much more dense, much more, looks much more like a ghillie suit. So what you do is you just, in order to do that, achieve that, you just kind of roll this, right, and you clump it up. So we want to hide that red section, So what we're going to do is we're going to clump this up. Well, we'll put this on the top first and then start to run it down. Right, and as you can see, as you start to run it down, it starts to hide that undercoat or that red one. Right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to stick it on the back of the neck. Again, that's going to be like the focal point. So we're going to grab a little bit of this hot glue. And we're going to stick his neck, stick it right behind the helmet. Just like that. Then you're going to bunch it up. Whatever material you got, you know, obviously you're going to have to figure out what's best for the material you have. Right, and then you're just going to keep sticking it to the red one. So bunch it up. Go over the elbow a little bit, right? Because we don't really care that much, right? This isn't so exact that you got to be, oh, I can't cover this, I can't cover that, right? You just cover until you get it exactly where you want it. So cover that elbow again. Clump it up. We're going to go down one side. Put some in here. So now we're going to start working it across the bottom. Right, easy money. That's what I like saying. Everything's just easy money. Stick it in there, pull your knife out. Now, see, we want to pull that back. I don't like that. We're going to pull that back a little and reset that corner. So I'm going to reset that corner even more. It's still not. Okay, so now I'm back. Both boys are complete. I have the ghillie suit kind of how I want it, basically stitched on or positioned on. Still have some cleanup work to do, as you can tell. This boy here, obviously, right, sticking out all over the place, got some cleanup work to do. So what we're going to do is we're going to come in here with a nice sharp pair of scissors. We're just going to cut some of this ghillie suit back. Right, we're going to trim up the base area like what we talked about. We're going to get up under here. We're going to cut this out, right, because we don't want this stuff showing up, especially the red part. We want the actual netting or the ghillie suit. And as we talked about before, we kind of want some more of the base showing. So we're going to keep cutting this back. doing the necessary cleanup work so that once we prime and start painting and start adding additional features to the ghillie suit, that it's covered and you don't see, because obviously this red portion here, it's harder to paint than the green portion. So come in here, we're going to cut this off his foot, or off the back of the base. Snip that off. And again, we don't want this red stuff really showing. This was only supposed to be like an undercoat. Trim some of this up. Get rid of some of this loose stuff, right? We don't want a lot of loose stuff either, because again, other miniatures will get stuck on it, makes it difficult to transport, right? I mean, just too much stuff. We want to clean up this miniature. Okay, we're back. So these guys are all trimmed up, ready to go, ready for prime. I'm going to go outside into the garage, prime them later. I use rattle can to do my priming. I do own an airbrush, but one thing I don't do is I don't run solvents through my airbrush. I only run acrylics or water-based stuff through my airbrush. I could use water-based paint to prime these, but I actually prefer rattle can or solvent based. That's just because solvent based materials, if you know anything about your paints, solvent based products have sort of an etching compound in them that helps bind to the miniature, or helps, you know, adhere to the miniature, whereas the acrylics coming out of an airbrush, or, you know, can still rub off with your fingers as you're painting them. As I paint miniatures, I don't use one of those miniature painting stands or holders. I just hold the miniature. I'm kind of old school. I've been doing this since 2nd edition. I'm an old guy, so been doing this since 1991 through whatever, 2nd, 3rd, 4th edition. I quit for a long time, quit the hobby, almost 20 years. So one last thing I'm going to show you before I head out and prime these is I'm going to show you this. Right, this is from Hobby Lobby. I love Hobby Lobby as a store. I go there, they have a 40% off one item coupon. So this ended up being like $3 for this thing. This is, I don't know, some kind of cactus or whatever that came out of their little plastic plant area. You just pull these things off, right? And then you cut them, trim them up, take little chunks, little pieces. But this stuff, if you know, you go to Hobby Lobby and you go check out their floral section or their silk plant section, or even where you get these plastic plants, tons and tons of material that you can use for basing miniatures. I mean, a lot. You can take this little piece, right, trim it out, take this, stick this under his feet, stick this under, right, and then, you know, after you paint it, prime it, paint it, do whatever, bam, I mean, you got yourself some excellent foliage for basing. So again, I use Home Depot. I use cardboard boxes, make things out of cardboard boxes. I don't know if you can see in the background, but I've made some actual, what I call quote unquote legal containers using the WTC rules. So these are 5 by 2.5. Again, these are just cardboard, right? Take some cardboard, cut it up, make sure you got your dimensions correct. Go ahead and line them or edge them with some poster board. Make a stencil, I mean, I can show you how to make stencils, all this stuff. I mean, this is what I do all day long. It's just part of the hobby. I love it. So again, perfect for the tabletop. You drop them down, you get the cool factor. And so yeah, so again, I hope to post once a month. I'd like to do once every 2 weeks. If you guys could support the channel, please hit that subscribe button. But yeah, I appreciate it. Welcome to the channel. I have a lot to show you. I've got, I'm going to make a Stampa from scratch. I've got a ton of scratch built stuff already in boxes. Battle wagon, gun wagon, war boss on war bike. I also play Grey Knights, so I've got a full Grey Knights army that I'm working on. I've got a fully painted up Land Raider that I'm going to show you that I think came out awesome. I got a Nemesis Dread Knight that I converted. I also did a Nemesis Dread Knight conversion that I converted into a Mega Dread. I've got another Mega Dread project in the works. I'm just waiting for my Gorkanaut to get here, so I got a Gorkanaut that I'm gonna Gorkanaut kit on its way in that I'm gonna do up. So again, please send this out. Tell all your friends, hey, there's this new guy on YouTube. He's starting to do some crazy stuff, conversions or whatever. Hit that subscribe button, and I appreciate the support, guys. Over and out.